launching this blog activity and the Berlin diaries, even if not from Berlin anymore, I stated somewhere that the one aim of all these activities is making us thinking about the small print of life and the terms and conditions that do apply. It's the small print. It's not only the large things and the big things, but it's really making history all the tiny things we do every day. But then sometimes I think perhaps I shouldn't think so much. The other day, waking up at about 5 o'clock in the morning, the meeting ended, I think it was about 3:20 in the morning, the same day. And that made me think exactly this. Should I be sleeping more? 6 hours long about what would be long for me? 6 hours, and I would be wondering, am I actually sick or what is going on? Well, what is going on actually with this artificial way of sleeping then, or of dividing the day, separating it into different periods, day and night and morning and afternoon. To some extent, of course, it is natural. Just following the sun, following the lack of sun. But then there is this artificial overcoming these signs of nature. There is no need for sun, there is no need for anything. We just can manipulate it. We are not manipulating how we live, but we are manipulating the conditions under which we live. And of course, there's always the question, cui bono? Why do we do this? For whom? Who is benefiting from this? In this case, it's just ridiculous to ask who is benefiting from my stupid sleep habits at the moment. Well, arriving at that time, I receive a message. It is the answer on a message I sent yesterday. And now the problem is already there. And it was the message I sent with my yesterday. And replying, I said, but actually it is still today for you. The time difference, the time lag, as it is called. But at the same time, kind of globalizing time. There is no yesterday, and there is no tomorrow, and there is no present. There's one time, even if it is not the case. And the worrying is really, as much as we lose the past and as much as we lose the awareness of the presence being part of history just happening, we lose the future, losing ground, one could say. Of course, it doesn't mean to permanently look into what is now, how do we influence the future, and from where do we come, why do we act in this way. But there is this thing of increasingly becoming arbitrary about all these things and becoming arbitrary due to our use of a technology that allows us a different way of connecting and that forces us to some extent to a different way of connecting. Still, I think it's not the technology really forcing us. There's something else. There's something else, as everybody can decide for him or herself how to deal with these powers, how to deal with these technologies. It's up to all of us. Well, I wouldn't say my idol, I wouldn't say my teacher. I don't know what one can say actually. He wrote, I'm talking about Karl Marx, for as soon as the distribution of labor comes into being, each man has a particular exclusive sphere of activity, which is forced upon him and from which he cannot escape. He is a hunter, a fisherman, a shepherd, or a critic, and must remain so if he does not want to lose his means of livelihood. While in the communist society, where nobody has one exclusive sphere of activity, but each can become accomplished in any branch he wishes, society regulates the general production and thus makes it possible for me to do one thing today and another tomorrow. To hunt in the morning, fish in the afternoon, rear cattle in the evening, criticize after dinner, just as I have a mind, without ever becoming hunter, fisherman, shepherd, or critique. Joe once said, it's actually not written by Karl Marx, it's happened in a note by Frederick Engels, his friend, kind of mocking about his ideas, Karl's ideas about communism, these idyllic, this idyllic approach. Be it as it is, today we definitely do not have this kind of communism. And in some way, we have less and less this kind of division of labor. Because we have to be available for so many things. We are not allowed to concentrate on one task. We think it's important that where we feel that this is really our thing. Perhaps I'm thinking too much. Where does it lead? Does it have any meaning? Anyway, I wrote to a friend the other day. I've been classified as social philosopher, so take it as a work-related disease. And at the end of the day, finally, though remaining a single drop, this is what we all are. But I want to play a role in the ocean. This alluding to the new branding of the channel, which I have been just trying to do or doing. Going with Camus here, or trying to reverse what she wrote in the notebooks. Il y a toujours une philosophie pour le manque de courage. There's always a philosophy for the lack of courage. And I don't know, or I don't want that this is my philosophy. There's always a challenge for me that there is a philosophy for doing something, for trying to intervene, for trying to be part of it, or making it a part again, even if it seems so often that all is falling apart, that there is no link anymore. It's this arbitrary, as I mentioned earlier. But trying to be part, what does it mean then in concrete terms? I don't know the reason anymore. I can't remember. I once subscribed to, was a free subscription for 2 weeks or something for the Tages and Cyber daily from Switzerland. No, I get every day the morning start to be informed when we go into the day. So that was the other day again as well. The headline, the opening, that there had been a long, overlong failure of Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook, kind of complaining that the Swiss industry lost millions by this. But they say as well it was losing the nerve, getting nervous, and actually some people see it as an attack, an affront directed against their identity. It's a strange way of seeing identity, isn't it? On the one hand, there is a complaint in the Western countries that the internet and the control of the internet, the social media, are actually taking the identity away of it, and then not having it, not being available just for a couple of hours. People feel that it is an attack on their internet. It is indeed amazing looking at the figures, how many people use Facebook. Even if it is now apparently a little bit decreasing, especially amongst young people. But we are a trend society, isn't it? We go with trend, whatever the trend is. Our contribution to the overall health system, spending our liver or lungs or whatever we can spend, faces enormous problems. Because people want to maintain their identity even after death. And this individual identity is characterized by 9 out of 10 PC users, computer users, are using Windows. In the meantime, the majority of 67% Windows 10, followed by nearly 20% of Windows 7, and actually a more or less minority already using Mac. It's about a little bit more than 5%. Then again, Windows, actually an older version still there, and then Linux and others. 9 out of 10 follow just the trend of it is Windows. And of course, it is not just following the trend, it is following the market and the price. But coming back to Facebook, it is not only interesting to see how many people use it, but it is as well interesting to see the time it needed to grow to the stage where it is now. Is it really so interesting? Actually, more interesting is something else. Facebook, to reach from the launch to reach 1 billion users, Facebook needed 8.6 years. YouTube, 7 years. The same as WhatsApp, 7 years. Instagram, longer again, 7.7 years. TikTok, this newcomer, only 5 years. The Economist says this is a matter of the potency of videos. Others say TikTok is just a matter or playing field for young people. Whatever it is, it is something else. It is not about technology. It is not about these media. It is the way of how we communicate, but even more so what we communicate. What is it that keeps society together? What is the link, the glue that makes us to that kind of social being that we are? Again, the economist from one of the last days, the recent days, we came up with a great idea. The immediate cause of the problems, now I have to go back, but actually they say that we have a major problem that our societies, or our economy at least, should be understood as a shortage economy. We do not have enough. We should have more, we should grow more, we should grow faster. And what we face now is the shortage economy. And what we face is that this is a problem. The problem being the lack of growth, the lack of consumption. And then they write the immediate cause of the problems is COVID-19. Yet, the shortage economy is also the product of the switch from fossil fuels to renewable energies. And the fact that trade has become less about economic efficiency and more about goals such as labor standards and national security. Decarbonization and protectionism will be much longer lived than the pandemic, and for policymakers just as hard to cope with. Oh dear economies, I would like to have this kind of problem that labor standards, the demand for better labor standards is a problem, that national security is a problem, that decarbonization is a problem. I just finished, well, I didn't finish. I just said I would like to have a little bit more a little piece on Ching and Fu, an economist working for the Chinese Academy of Science, of Social Science. So they asked me to write about his work and the meaning of his work today and what we can make out of it. And he was actually making exactly this point. It's not a problem. This is potential for the future. And writing on his work was the one thing. The other thing is that I'm actually writing something now on the post-colonialism and there the role of China, the post-colonialism, nationalism, and deterioration. This is why it never happens. It is impossible to pronounce it. Anyway, so we have problems not only of shortage, but we have problems of those means caused by those means that could be a major advancement of our societies, of our living together. Worrying about working conditions shouldn't be a problem at all. It should be one of these things where we see a perspective for enjoying life more than we not only did and do in many cases, but where we have the opportunity now to enjoy it more because technology makes it possible. But it is not technology as such. It is the way we use it and we are allowed to use it. In which way is it that we are allowed? Albert Camus, again, he wrote in 1945, Between Hell and Reason, our technical civilization has just reached its greatest level of savagery. We will have to choose in the more or less near future between collective suicide and the intelligent use of our scientific conquests. And this decision between collective suicide and the intelligent use of our scientific conquests that he mentioned in 1945, this is come now. This decision we have to make now, and we have to make it before it is really becoming too late and we cannot return. It is this technical civilization. It is not the technology as such, but at the same time, it helps tremendously. I'm frequently using, of course, Microsoft's, not only Microsoft's software applications, but as well I activate this dictation function. And of course, be it that I'm too lazy or be it that I do not trust myself, I use or I did not switch off the grammar checker. Microsoft standard software, and it differentiates it. It is exactly this, the killing me softly every day. And it proposes then there should not be anything like more or less. To some extent, increasingly becoming. It is just becoming. It is whatever it is, without more or less, without some extent. But it is another way, or it's another, it's meant in another way than the notion Shakespeare, Hamlet, was talking about when he said it's about to be or not to be. Here, with these standards, it's about black or white, tertium, dark. The third way doesn't exist. There is no colorful reality or no real colorfulness. It is the pretension what we can do so easily with a computer. And we are putting things into boxes. It is not about Microsoft or whichever software telling us what we should say and what we should not say. It is that we live this as well, losing readiness or losing the opportunities and spaces to accept color, as well to live through certain conflicts or social disputes. So it is not only what we say or the way we say something, but it is as well, it is exactly what we say in terms of the substance. If we say something, if I read reports from what I said during meetings, I'm wondering, was it really what I said? And yes, I said this one sentence. But what I really presented, what I really meant, had been something much more complex. Looking at the different facets, looking at the contradictions, and not reducing complexity or not reducing it more than it would be possible without making a lie out of it. And as we are made losing our fantasy, our creativity, it is then occasionally still coming through. As I said, using the dictation function. I did so again the other day, writing, for instance, with the pandemics, the end of 16 years government of the Miss Miracle in Germany and the global crisis in connection with Afghanistan. Don't have to think about the entire sentence, but I think Miss Miracle is something that is remarkable. And who then is behind all this? What kind of censorship is happening there? Part of which is surely an important, a very important political question. Now, to be sure, there is not really so much new in all these things. Horkheimer titled in 1947 Eclipse of Reason. Newman had been talking but affirmative of the reduction of complexity. Max Weber wrote about the bureaucratic rules and this kind of rationality of the iron cage, which would kill us one day. And academia is asking us for binary formats, for clear language, not in terms of clear language making things easily understood, but reducing what we are talking about. I was talking in the mornings to a friend and colleague and said, I see more and more of our colleagues escaping, so to say, into writing novels. They say we cannot express what we want to express, even if it is just a more complex reality. Statistics don't mean much. To having to find a reference for every little bit, this destroys, deconstructs in a wrong way the reality. Ken Coach's films, that's social science. And as I said, it's this political thing, because policy is today for so many, at the end of the day, a job. Had it been different one day, it is at least something that is frightening or that makes me think. Elif Shafak says that novels are the only remaining place for the end of democracy. And this is how she feels approached in the critique of her work. People, and this is not people from the political elite, but it is readers or potential readers, not readers, exactly non-readers. They say, I haven't read this novel, but it should be banned. Or they say, I haven't read this novelist, but she should be prosecuted. They just pluck sentences out of text and use them out of context. All of this I find surreal and sad in equal measure. It is difficult to talk about politics in Turkey, and it became even more difficult as the government became more and more authoritarian. And it is also difficult to question patriarchy. This is what we, and I'm not talking about, not least academics, forget this kind of complexity, to deal with it, to confront ourselves and our readers and our clients with it. This kind of complexity that makes out real life. We occasionally talk about thinking outside of the box, and as soon as we do it, we are in danger of losing the job. We are not getting published. We are not getting published in the journals we want, or we have to. I was recently getting the page proofs, and the article had been accepted. And then they did language editing, and I checked it. I said, sorry, this is something I don't understand what I supposedly said. This kind of editing is making a mess out of what I said. It went so far that writing about the FRG and GDR, in brackets, Federal Republic of Germany and then the German Democratic Republic, they made they kept the Federal Republic of Germany. I don't remember the other thing, but they made something of a chemistry or trade thing out of the GDR. I'm not having a clue what they are doing about. And of course, this is what we are asked to do, to adapt a certain house style. And of course, these are extremes where the stupidity of the system is becoming open, is coming through. But the actual thing is a different one. The actual thing is that we don't understand, and we are not allowed to understand life anymore. This is my experience as well from the last 1.5 years having lived in Germany, that people from the former GDR said, we have at least in the beginning, we have had this hope, we have had this vision of where we wanted to go. We didn't want to compete with each other. And even then, when this hope was still there, but we saw the difficulties of implementing it. We didn't have much, but we have had not the competition then to fight everybody for him herself to get what was lacking. But there was this kind of solidarity born out of the lack of this wealth, of this, or not with the lack, but this kind of shortage economy. Just the understanding of life being a novel, because it is not only the only space novels where we have novels, where we have novelties, where we have the rich life, but it is as well the entirety of democracy, of this rich life, of novelties, of visions. I don't know why I come up to get today again and again with Camus, even if I didn't read him recently. In a review of Nausea from Jean-Paul Sartre, he wrote, "A novel is never anything but a philosophy put into images. In a good novel, the whole of the philosophy has passed into the images. But if one's philosophy overflows the characters and action, and therefore looks like a label stuck on the work, the plot loses its authenticity, and the novel is and the novel It's Life. Nevertheless, a work that is to last cannot dispense with profound ideas. And this is the secret fusion between experiences and ideas, between life and the reflection of meaning of life, is what makes a great novelist. And this problem we face, I think, today with our real life. It's being overwritten by expectations of functioning. We have to function, and functioning means we have to fit into the system. All well known that that's possibly where new technologies, digitisation, artificial intelligence comes into play, as it did when Charlie Chaplin was writing or doing this beautiful work on the modern times. The cogwheels, the person going through the machinery and being occupied. And of course, it was not the machine, it was the system that needed the machine. And this is the same what happens again. It's not Twitter that makes Trump the president. It is not a Facebook or the Microsoft spell checker, but it is a certain political, economic system. It's the economy of shortage, or seeing the economy of shortage as a problem that makes us tick this way, tick-tock this way, tick-tock, replicating the stupidity of a system and then even thinking it is funny. I think it's not funny anymore. It may be funny if we use it as a toy, but if we only end up with tick-tock, tick-tock, then we should think about it if we should not switch off these machines and go back to life as a philosophy, to life as a novel with all the novelties.